Champions Fighting Fraud event. I'm Tyler Saxey. I'm the Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer with Innovation Credit Union. We're just down the road, headquartered in Oakdale. And I have the honor of making some opening remarks here today to get us started, and then I'll be briefly introducing each one of our expert speakers as we go through our program. All right, so this event is being put on by the collaboration of 8 different local credit unions. I'll give myself a test here on how well I actually studied. So in alphabetical order, I believe we have Affinity Plus, we have City and County, we have Expedition, Heartland, Ideal, Novation, Royal, and Wings. Did I get it? All right. Well, as member-owned financial cooperatives, credit unions really take education of members and support of members seriously. So we try to do a lot of different educational events like this. Excuse me. Today, tackling financial fraud. Honestly, that is a topic that continues to be a threat to our members and our communities. So we're really pleased to have a great speaker lineup here today and other people here involved as well. All right. So, who else we need to thank here? Also want to recognize Northwoods Credit Union. They're here, put in quite a few miles to get down here and help us out for recording this event. That'll allow us to make it available to other credit union members and the community afterwards. We'll be able to get that out online and share it with additional people. We're also thrilled to have representatives of other organizations here, whether they're part of our speaking lineup for today, or whether they are at the tables outside. We encourage you to visit those after this event again with any questions that you might have that come up from the presentations. But we've got Woodbury Public Safety here, the local chapter of the Better Business Bureau, AARP, FRPA, and the South Washington County Community Education Group is here as part of that. We also have the trucks outside from Minnesota Tech for Success and ShredRite, helping out with the secure disposable documents as well as small electronic devices. So we thank them for being here. And last but not least, of course, our sponsors who helped make this available. This was funded partially by a grant from the Minnesota Credit Union Foundation. We also had sponsorship from Visa, Valera, and again, Woodbury Public Safety. In terms of our agenda, we really do have a great lineup of speakers for you today. They're going to share their thoughts on financial fraud from several different perspectives. You're going to get to hear from law enforcement, other security experts, an advocacy group such as AARP being here, and last but not least, you'll hear from a credit union as well perspective from Brad at the end. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker with extensive experience in financial fraud and financial crime investigations with Woodbury Public Safety. Please welcome Detective Lynn Lawrence.
Good morning. I've met some of you at other scam presentations I've done, and there's some new faces, which is super fun to see. So a little bit about me. I have been at Woodbury Police Department for over 22 years. I've been in investigation since 2015, and I have been investigating scams and fraud for almost that entire time. Why, might you ask? Because it's not the fun part of the job, however, it's the necessary part of the job. And I'm very passionate about this. I love speaking to groups. I really feel strongly about prevention. I think prevention is key in all of this because I will tell you, investigating these cases after the fact is really, really difficult. So, first question, is this a big deal? Is this a big deal in Woodbury? It is. This is a huge problem in Woodbury. As you can see, in 2021, our numbers were about 280,000 in reported fraud, and that has jumped significantly. So in the last several years, 6.6 million, and that's only what's been reported. And that is only in Woodbury. That's a problem. Nationally, last year, they reported $12.5 billion loss. And it's only increasing. All right, so the fraud formula. How does this work? Why does it work? So first off, there's an opportunity, right? So scammers will take advantage of any situation. They are going to find whatever's susceptible, and I will tell you one of the things is loneliness. A lot of the victims I talk to are lonely. We are humans, we are made for community, we are made for connections, we want to be with one another, and when that doesn't happen, you reach out via various platforms to have those conversations. So sometimes that's Facebook or Messenger, or you randomly get a text message that says hi. If you respond to that message that says hi, because you want to be nice, Minnesota nice, we always have to respond, they will entice you into a conversation. And once they build your trust, you think you made a friend, the fraud will begin. Pressure. They always use some sort of pressure. So these scammers have done this long enough, they know how to work to get you to not think properly, okay? So it's gonna be urgency. You have a warrant for your arrest. If you don't pay that warrant, we're gonna send a bunch of police out to your house, right? So, scare, fear, right? Whatever it is that they can get you so you can't think properly. Act now. You have to do this now. Don't hang up the phone. I've had victims who have been on the phone for days with the scammers running around town. And maybe that's happened to somebody in here. And rationalization. So, as a victim, you try to rationalize what you did, okay? And I will say, sometimes the victims say, oh my gosh, I feel so stupid. How could I fall for this? I'm here to tell you, you're not stupid. These scammers are really, really good at what they do, okay? So please, if you have been scammed, report it. We are understanding. All right, so trust. Scammers like to build trust. It's kind of like grooming, and they will talk to a victim for a long time, as long as it takes to work, okay? They will find commonalities. You're a Christian, I'm a Christian too. You like dogs, I like dogs too. You have grandkids, I have grandkids too. Anything to build a connection. Then of course, like I talked about, fear, threats, legal action. They're gonna call you and say, I have all this information about you. I have your name, I have your date of birth, I have your address. I might even know your family members' names. That can get you scared. What's gonna happen? We have seen where they've also threatened people physically, verbally to be physical. They've never shown up that I'm aware of. But they will say, you know, if you don't pay this, we're gonna come to your house, we're gonna beat you up, or something similar. And then greed. So, quick money or other rewards. This would be like a lottery, an inheritance. We still see these ones. You get contacted that you had somebody in your family who passed away, they left you a lot of money. That sounds pretty enticing, right? Even though you might be like, this doesn't seem right, you're just like, well, but maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance to be a millionaire. All right, so who are the victims? I will say absolutely anybody can be a victim. And I will even share a quick story that I was almost a victim. I investigate these scams all the time. This is what I do. And I had seen a really good deal on Facebook Messenger from a friend who was getting rid of stuff for her parents who was moving to transitional care. And she had to get rid of a bunch of the property, right? And so I looked through it and I'm like, these are some really good deals. And so I sent it to my husband, who's also a cop, and he's like, hey Lynn, that's a scam. And I'm like, how? I investigate these. How could I almost fall for this, right? They're good. So again, all ages. Seniors are often targeted because seniors have more money. You have a lifetime of savings built up. And you can be very trusting and answer phones. Younger people, maybe more the greed, right? You want to make quick cash. It's pretty easy to do. And So lack of awareness of new scams. These scams are changing every day. I do scam presentations in the community. If you are part of a group and you want one, reach out to Woodbury Public Safety and we'll coordinate. But these scams are constantly updating, changing. It's a little bit like whack-a-mole. Staying on top of what's happening, just being aware. Emotional triggers, once again, that fear of what's happening, and then overconfidence, it won't happen to me. I will tell you, if you are in this room saying, this won't happen to me, you're probably going to be very close to having it happen to you and not even realize it. So, we need to break the fraud formula. And by doing this, we're going to reduce the opportunity, okay? So, verify emails. If you get an email that you weren't expecting, either delete it, check the header, so you can hold your mouse over the top, and just see kind of where it came from. Does it make sense? If it looks like it came from your bank, but the top of it said it came from Sarah Ann at Yahoo, then it's not going to be really from your bank. Resist pressure. Pause and think, does this make sense? In the circumstance I'm in right now, does this text message, does this email, does any of this make sense? Or is it just kind of out of left field? Always double check the resources. If it's something from your bank, don't call the number on the email. Look up the bank number from maybe your bank card and use that number to call. Challenge it. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. It kind of goes along with like the lottery winnings, right? If you didn't play it, you didn't win it. So if it just seems like a really good deal, again, Facebook Marketplace, right? There's a really good sale. Too good to be true, it is. And I got through that fast. Next up is going to be Mr. John McCullough. I even gave you extra time.
Just what I needed to know. They're coaching me to try to slow me down because I can go all day not doing this. So we'll probably have dinner around 6 o'clock tonight. I've been doing this for over 35 years. Actually, it's more like 41. And I originally started out with Dayton, Hudson, Marshall Fields and handled their fraud division. Worked a lot of fraud cases out on the selling floor, made a lot of arrests. And life changed after the internet because when you really think about it, we had credit cards and checks back then, right? What do we got today? You auto pay, direct deposit, you have faster payments coming, you have cryptocurrency, stable coin coming, all these different, they call them rails, for payment processes. Each one of those opens up a new door for fraud. Everybody knows about check fraud, everybody knows about credit card fraud, debit card fraud, but all these new payment rails I've been trying to keep up with. And with that being said, we set up FRPA. Kate Cole, our executive director, is here. She's going to coach me afterwards, by the way. She says, we're in the business of education and trying to educate our financial institution partners. And the credit unions are a big partner for us. Here we go. Next slide. I'll let her click on that for me. Clicker's not working. Here we go. The top scams for 2025, imposter scams, cryptocurrency, tech support scams, computer virus scams, crypto ATM or crypto ATM scams, and then romance scams. There's only one up there that's really not a scam, and I'll explain in a second here. The imposter scams relate to every one of the other ones, other than cryptocurrency. The reason I say that, imposter scams are always going to rely on They really don't want to be identified. The person doesn't want to be identified. And they want you to believe them, that there's something about them that is accurate, you can rely on. They build that trust, as Lynn had mentioned. So under imposter scams, you typically, how many here have gotten a toll? You didn't pay your tolls? Yeah. Keep your hands up. How many here had DVS? You didn't pay all your license and fee tabs. Okay? We're getting those all the time. How about the one that says, and this is an important one, this is happening, PayPal or Amazon. Did you make a purchase for $50? And it comes and you can go yes or no. And you go no. Shortly after that, what do you get? A call from your credit union, fraud department, saying, well, we got to correct this if you didn't make that transaction. With that being said, they then try to remote into your computer to figure out what's going on. And if you allow them access, they say, hey, I want to look at your account. We can do this together. So click on this link, and then I can see what you're seeing on your computer. And oh, by the way, let's correct that. And they'll go through a routine. Now, this is, I don't want to take Jay Happela's AARP's presentation away, but Jay taught me that's the ether that envelops around you as they start to talk to you. You start going, oh, what do I do now? Okay, I want to take care of this now. Do you really ask yourself this question if you get this close to getting defrauded? Do you have to deal with this right now? Is this a problem that you have to resolve for $50? No, something's wrong here. You start challenging yourself, say, I don't need to deal with this right now. Don't hang up, don't hang up. That's what you're going to hear from them. Hang up. When you hear, don't hang up, that means yes, hang up. Okay? So make sure that the imposter doesn't pull that ether over your eyes, get you involved in correcting the problem. And as you're going through that, what they're doing is setting up that statement that you're looking online with them in your bank account, and they're making changes to it. I won't get into all the details, but if you get that far where someone's with you looking at your bank account at the same time, that is dead wrong. That's not the way it works. Financial institutions may assist you and may view, but they never, ever able to do what these guys do, and that's make changes to your account. Or they ask you for your one-time passcode to get into your account. Because they'll say, I'm going to send you a one-time passcode. Well, they're hitting your account, sending you a passcode, and they're pretending like they sent it to you when they didn't. And then you key in that passcode, and you never, ever, underline, bold print, never, ever give you they call it two-factor authentication, that those digits that you key into your account to get in, you never give that away. Never, to anybody. Don't do it. So with that being said, imposter scams are going to try and convince you to move on. Cryptocurrency, investment scams we're going to talk a little bit about, tech support scams, and computer virus I'll talk shortly about, and then romance scams. And I'll end it with a little bit on cryptocurrency. Next slide. Go here. Nope. Can you hit that for me up there? Okay, so the impersonations are going to act like government agencies like DBS or law enforcement, tech support. You're going to find all sorts of different things. They may even come in as a law firm that you have inherited money, things of that nature. Hang on. You ever notice that when you get the spam calls, you get that little delay first? It rings, you pick it up, there's that pause. Then you say hello, and then you get a response. I hang up. If I get a little gap where no one's talking, I just hang up. Urgent messages. They're trying to create, Lynn mentioned, they want you to correct the problem today. We got to do this together. They need your participation to make things happen. Don't let that happen to yourself. Don't believe the urgency. You can solve this another day. They'll threaten you with legal action. If you don't show up, you fail to show up for jury duty. Because of that, we got to take care of this. You're going to be fine. The sheriff's going to come out and arrest you. I usually say, okay, have him come and arrest me. I'm waiting for him. No, don't fall for tactics like that. No one's going to come and arrest you. They extract, what they really want to do is extract gift cards out of you. You know, go to an ATM, cryptocurrency machine to put money in to solve the problem. Home Depot cards, those kind of things. Anybody talks gift cards to you that you need, you want to buy these, or green cards like Walgreens, Green Dot, I mean, you don't believe it. It's not legit. And I'm going to let AARP talk about the new AI issues that are out there for you that you'll be facing, voice cloning and deep fakes. Next slide. Okay, tech support. You could be on your computer, and you're going along, and you say, oh, this is an interesting article, and you click on it. This has happened to me. Kate knows I go on the dark web and stuff, and I click on a lot of things I shouldn't, but I do. All of a sudden, my computer blows up. Sirens are going off, it's making a noise. Oh, I see it's shaking. And it's going, you know, you're infected, you need to call this number right away. If you don't do it, your computer's going to be taken over, your accounts are going to be drained, all that stuff. As soon as you hear the alarm going off and that screen comes up saying fraud alert, warning, unplug it, restart your computer. And if you have any doubts, run your antivirus, scan it. If you have any doubts, take it into a professional service center and have them clean up your computer. Generally speaking, it's going to be what we call scareware. And if you unplug it and restart it, typically and run your antivirus, you're probably going to be okay. But if you have any doubts, make sure you take it in. If you've gone too far where you've contacted them and things start to happen, where you let remote access, what's the number one thing you got to do? You let anybody into your computer remotely, and you figured out it was fraud. Change your contact, your financial institution, credit union, to have them, just reset all your passwords, username. You want to do that. If they've gained any access to your computer, once you've let them in, they can do a number of things. They can install malware, like through this process. They can put in what we call keystroke loggers, where every keystroke that you put in there, they can capture and put back and use it, come online and pretend it's you at a different location. A lot of I will say the credit unions and financial institutions spending tons of money, not only on systems, but people to try and monitor and reduce this type of activity. But it takes you to be responsible for your passwords, your username, and to be alert on these type of issues. Next slide. Okay, again, you could be in a social media site, and you could be told, you click on it, same kind of thing where open this attachment, I'll send you an email, here's the attachment I was talking about, open it up. Or it could be, hey, take a look at these pictures. And it could look like it came from your brother-in-law or your sister or whatever. And you click on it. Inside the picture can be hidden code that can open up your computer to malware. So be very, very careful if you're getting emails that look really, really interesting and you click on an attachment. You've got to be extremely careful. Is this really what you want to do? I can't tell you how many pictures I have not opened up from because someone will get one, like Kathy will get one, and she'll say, hey, look at this, I want you to watch this. It's a really cool video, and it probably is. But quite frankly, I know Kathy she's not aware of these type of scams. I keep on talking to her about it. I tell her, don't mail your checks in the mail. She still mails her checks in the mail then she calls me up and says, they didn't get my check, what do you think happened to it? Oh, I have a problem now with the bank. Someone stole my check. Well, same kind of thing with accepting emails and attachments, even from friends, to say, hey, you gotta look at this. Be very cautious about what you're opening up and accessing. So they'll always claim when you click on it and you get a referral like, hi, this is Microsoft, and we notice that your computer is infected. They may call you directly, they may send you an email, call us, but they're going to say they're with Microsoft and they need to update your system right away. No, Microsoft does not do that. Facebook does not do that. So just be aware that you just don't want to believe these imposters coming at you full force, trying to get you to fix it now. There's nothing in the rule book that says whatever someone's telling you, you have to fix it now. You want to slow it down. Whoa. You'll get a little, like, cackles. You'll have that gut feel. This is really odd. This is really odd. Why are you asking me these questions? Back away. Hang the phone up. Look up, or you know the number, the correct number to your financial institution. Talk to them. If you don't do that, you're never going to be sure you're talking to the right person. So spoofing phone numbers are very easy to do. Everybody's heard about this, I hope, where I can go online, spoof a call, and that means I can go to Google, put in a phone number, I get download a software package off of Google, and I can create any phone number and make it Woodbury Police Department. I'm Lynn. You were at a seminar. I just want to make you aware. Check your computer. I sent you an email. Open that email up. You open the email. You're going to believe because you were at, they're going to look for things that happened in your life that measure up to a story that makes sense. You're connecting the dots. This is the ether kicking in. It's going to make sense. This really makes sense. No, it doesn't. Lynn doesn't do that. The police department. I don't know of a police department that will do that. They'll contact you generally in other ways, but not like that. Open up an attachment. So be very cognitive that it may not just be a social media contact. Next slide. Where you get contacted through social media saying, hey, I saw that you're on Facebook and you know Kathy. And Kathy's a good friend of mine, and she told me all about you and that you love fishing up in Canada. And oh, by the way, are you still married? Well, yeah. I can't tell you how many guys fall for something like that and they see a lady that's maybe 49 years old, very attractive. She's made up. It's a fake picture. It's not her. But you continue the dialogue as a friend. How's the cat? Is your cat okay? I heard you had to take it into, and you developed this relationship, and you believe because she knows Kathy, she must be okay, blah, blah, blah. And maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, oh, guess what? You know, I came down with a really bad disease, and I need help. And I need $2,000 for some treatments. I don't have it. When my kid was in a car accident, I need to pay for an attorney. And your heart goes out to them, you believe it, because you've had this long relationship that's developed maybe 2, 3 months, 6 months down the road. They will play you for even over a year, just so they can come back and start saying, I got this problem. Or, I'm overseas, I want to fly back to meet with you, to have dinner. All these things lead up to one thing. Send me money. Now, If I asked you for $100, would you loan that to me today? No. People, you gotta ask yourself that question. Would you even give your brother $100? But yet you, $2,000 to fly back. You gotta ask yourself these questions. It doesn't make sense. Loneliness is very taxing on the heart. It's hard, but there's churches. You can get in with other groups. I think there's a number of groups here that can get you connected with other social events. Going out and meeting someone online. They may even do a live chat with you. They may even look like that person or the other person. Doesn't really matter. You don't really know them, even though you may have been talking to them for a year. I don't know why that would happen over a year, but people do it. So they'll ask you to send gift cards. They'll just start out with small stuff. I need to pay some legal fees, whatever. So bear in mind, romance scams are bad in the sense that they build up to a crescendo where they want all your money. They'll break it up into pieces. They'll do $20,000. It's an investment in a business. Another $20,000, so forth and so forth. So bear that in mind. That romance scams are a build of a relationship and trust that really was never there in the beginning. There's other ways you can find romance, and this is not a good way to do it. Next, Bitcoin ATMs. You've been to convenience stores, you'll see these Bitcoin machines, and what happens typically in a romance scam or a big butchering scam, we'll talk about that in a second, they'll ask you to transfer money. Take money out of a bank, credit union, bring it to a Bitcoin machine, and feed it in, and you'll be given instructions on the phone while you're standing there. They'll walk you through it. Because very honestly, I've not done any transactions on Bitcoin machines, nor will I ever, because I think they are just used for, I gotta be careful here, but I would be very cautious because of the amount of criminal activity that occurs on these machines. But they'll get, the criminals will use those Bitcoin machines to transfer money quickly into an account that they will control, but you think it's a legitimate transaction, and next thing you know, your money's gone. Do not, I would say, everybody in this room, anybody here use Bitcoin machines, ATMs? Good, don't. Just don't. You can go online to Coinbase and buy Bitcoin if you need to do that. They have to validate you, they have to do a bunch of other things, but Bitcoin, put cash in the machine, you'll never get it back out. There's no tracing, you can't find it. There's not going to be a lot of help from law enforcement after you've entered it, and it's been a few days and you realize, oh geez, it's fraud. Still report it. Anytime you have a fraud loss, report it to law enforcement. But make sure you kind of stay away from that. So if someone asks you to go withdraw money, lie to the financial institution that it's for a whole house remodel or for a new roof. Don't tell them it's got to be secret. Anything like that, it's fraud. It's fraud. Government agencies don't ask you to lie. They never have, never will. Okay? So, Bitcoin machines are bad. All right, common sense, these are basic informations. Transactions are instant on the Bitcoin. Government agencies don't really, they haven't used it. Now, it could change with stablecoin. I don't see it happening for a number of years. Stablecoin, you're going to hear more and more about in the next, probably the next 2-3 years on how banks and financial institutions will be using it. It'll be safer by using your financial institution than anything else. Next. Bitcoins are, you can find them. You just, Bitcoin machines, Google it, you'll find all the locations where you can find them, but don't go there. Don't use them. Next. Investment scams. This is pretty simple. Again, social media contact. Kathy sent me a note that you know me, or she knows me. We're good friends. I want to talk to you, make this relationship, everything's wonderful. Oh, by the way, here I am next to my Porsche. Here I am on vacation on a big cruise ship. Oh, by the way, I'm going to the Cayman Islands on another vacation. And we've talked about this. I know your family, I know all the kids, all this information about you, and you know about me. I made up all these stories about what I do. And you asked me, well, how'd you be able to do all this? Well, simply, I made all my money in Bitcoin. It's I can't tell you how many Bitcoins I have, but you know how much a Bitcoin's worth? It's $120,000. And I got a number of them, and I made my killing on Bitcoin. Well, how'd you do that? Well, I did NFTs. You know anything about NFTs? No. Well, here, I'll show you. They go online, and they show you. Key this in. Oh, okay. Here, I'll send you a website address that I use. Okay? So, it runs just like any other website. Go to the next slide, please. That slide on the far side, that will mimic a real investment scam. It mimics a real live system showing how much money it's making this instant. And she says, or he says, and this is how I do it. I put a little bit in here, and we'll make a little bit of money. You want to try it? Okay. You go here, you get some Bitcoin off, do a wire transfer from your bank to Coinbase. Coinbase, you got coins, then you invest it here. Let's try it. Okay. So they do that. You go, I know. I attended a fraud seminar, but I'm going to see if it works. So I put $1,000 in, and I get $2,000 back from them. Okay, I made some money. I'll do it again. I'm going to do $2,000. Send me, and then I pull it out, and I'll say, send me back the money. Then all of a sudden you get a phone call. Why are you taking $4,000 out now? You made money, don't you believe it? Yeah, I really do. I got to tell you something. My brother-in-law has a new program, and that program really works, and that's what I use to make all my money. If you want to do it, I'll tell you what you need to do. Yeah. What's that called? Greed. You've bit on that hook because you know you're going to make some good money because you've tested it, you believe it. And if the bank, and you tell the bank, I'm investing in crypto, and you believe it, and they say, are you sure you know what you're doing? You're pulling out $60,000 out of your account. Yep, I know exactly what I'm doing. I want the money wired to Coinbase. And otherwise, I'm going to withdraw all my money. You are being scammed. The credit union is telling you you're being scammed. Listen to your credit union. Don't lie to them. You don't be told to lie to them. You're being scammed. If any of you are scammed right now, please come see me or Lynn, because that's what's happening to you. You're being scammed because that's a fake website. The minute you invest in that secret formula program that they only know about, guess what happens? You invest that $60,000, and then you want to pull the money out. Oh, they don't stop there. They'll go, you want to pull your money out? You owe taxes on that. You got to pay that up front. So they're going to ask you to pay some more money. So re-victimization on all these impersonation scams happen. They'll attempt to come back at you. I don't care what it is. They're going to come back and say, oh, we try to recover funds for people all the time. That can be a scam too. So bear in mind, even if you lost money, you continue to lose money, but they're asking you to pay some fees, penalties, or whatever for early withdrawal, all that stuff. So bear in mind, these scams are really well orchestrated. The ether is very strong. Next slide. There we go. Did I finish on time?
You're good.
I'm good. They said I wouldn't do it. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Detective Lawrence. That was a great summary of what's happening with kind of fraud and ongoing. It's always changing, but a really good look at the type of fraud that's impacting us. And thank you as well for the summary of kind of the formula behind that Detective Lawrence shared with us. Praying on the same things over and over, trust, and things like that. So next, we're going to turn over to a topic important to all of us in the room, and that's for ourselves, as well as aging parents and grandparents that we may have, and that is how do we better protect aging adults who are continually being targeted by fraudsters and by scammers. And for that, we're going to turn it over to the leader of AARP's Fraud Watch Network, Jay Hadla.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. Hello, everybody. Good to be with you. Excellent information from Detective Lawrence and John as well. We work together a lot, and that's what it takes to combat all this financial crime. There's a lot of different organizations, your financial institutions and credit unions, law enforcement, social workers, all of us, nonprofit organizations, and you as individuals, as consumers, being vigilant as this type of crime continues to really skyrocket. Detective Lawrence talked about $12.5 billion, which is our best estimate of how much was stolen from Americans in financial crime last year. And if I ask you if that's a lot of money, it sure is. We've been monitoring those numbers for many years. The Federal Trade Commission is the government agency that tracks the reports from local law enforcement agencies and state level law enforcement agencies. Everyone who's collecting fraud reports, it's been going up and up and up, but it really has started to skyrocket in the last 5 years, and in fact has grown by more than 300% just in that time. So all of us are more at risk, far more at risk today than we have been in the past, to having thousands of dollars stolen from us or our entire life savings. So it's good that you would come out to a presentation like this and take this issue seriously for yourselves. So I work for AARP here in Minnesota, and a lot of people are familiar with the magazine and the discounts, less so familiar with the nonprofit social mission work that we do, and less familiar with the fact that AARP, with our 37 million members, we have a very strong ability to do market research, essentially. And when we ask our members and when we conduct surveys about people's concerns and interests, along with caregiving, along with protecting their Social Security and access to health care, staying safe from fraud and identity theft is at the top of the list. For older people, you know, we represent people over the age of 50, but really for everyone, as it should be. And in response, what AARP has done is set up a program called the Fraud Watch Network, and at its core, we have a team of hundreds of trained volunteers who answer the phones during business hours, essentially on weekdays, and we take about 100,000 reports of fraud and scams, whether it's people who are trying to navigate what they see on their computer screen, figure out if it's a scam or if it's something legitimate. But then, of course, people who've been scammed and they've actually had their money stolen are calling us as well. So we help those 100,000 people every year, and many more who get the information about the scams that we're tracking. But it helps us do that market research. So we track the trends in the scams and what type of scams people are being faced with, just like what you heard from our previous speakers. So that's where I come from, is getting access to all of those reports and seeing what type of scams are being reported, and we share that with you. So I work with hundreds of volunteers here in Minnesota and do presentations like this because it's no rocket science, but what we know from our research is that when people are aware of the specific scams that you're hearing about, you're much less likely to lose any money or even waste your time dealing with these criminals who are targeting us. So what I want to cover today is first to really bust the myth that older people get scammed more or are even targeted more by criminals. Because it's just not true. But we'll just start with the facts about the demographics and the population in the United States. Compared to 1975, there are almost 3 times as many people over the age 65 and older than there were, and it's a much greater share of our population. That's good news. People are living longer. Maybe it's not such good news that we're having fewer babies, and that's happening at the same time, but there's more people over the age of 65 today than there are kids in schools like Eastridge as well. And by the way, I meant to mention I'm a Woodbury resident, like I'll bet a lot of you are too. So watch out for those storm chasers coming to scam you when you get home today and listen to your voicemail or have someone knocking on your door. In a different hailstorm here, I had no fewer than 13 people come knock on my door and try to get me a new roof when one of the hailstorms came through. So a lot more older adults than there used to be, and that's where the money is. So, you know, if you're over the age of 55, not everyone's wealthy, but people who've lived and worked and saved tend to have access to more money than younger people do. And it plays out in, I guess, up is down and down is up. It plays out in the number of people who are being victimized and how much money is being stolen by the criminals. So on the left side, what you see of the 2.6 million fraud reports last year, actually about 2/3 of them were from younger people, age 59 and under. And I'll get into the reasons behind this. A lot of it's just ageism, that people have this disrespect for older people and just believe that, you know, whether it's being comfortable with technology or having cognitive decline or just being too trusting, but it's all a myth because younger people are being scammed, reported being scammed more often than older people are. And even if you took a look at a different age bracket between age 18 and 39 and compare that to people over the age of 70, now it's 3 times as often that the young people are reporting being scammed compared to people over the age of 70. But older folks lose a lot more money because on average, they've had more time to save and have access to some savings. I mean, I have 2 stepdaughters who are about to be 18 and 17, and they've each gone through more than 2 debit cards each because they've been shopping online and entered their debit card information into a website that they shouldn't have. So what does that mean for you? If you are an older person, you're a grandparent, have a conversation with your family, with your adult children and your grandchildren about what is going on and how they're taking it seriously in your family to keep each other safe from scams. So I think I said I also wanted to talk about what makes people vulnerable to fraud. And I also said that over the last 5 years, we've really seen a skyrocketing in the amount of money that the criminals are stealing. And a lot of it centers on the pandemic, not only the illness itself, but also our response as a country by shutting down, in a sense, and keeping people isolated from each other, which was necessary to stop the spread of the disease or to slow it. But it also had that effect of social isolation that John was describing, and how much that really plays into the scammer's favor. Anyone have a guess for what day at our Fraud Watch Network helpline that we get the very most calls every single year? Friday. It is a Friday. Which Friday of the year do you think it is? 13th. Friday the 13th, that's one way to look at it. It's Black Friday, I heard it. So we get the most calls every year on Black Friday. Why is that? It's because the whole family just got together on Thanksgiving and they realized that one of their loved ones is being scammed. And then we're closed on Thanksgiving, so they call us on Friday and try to figure out what to do next. So that, you know, it used to be that maybe the family always got together every Friday, but now it's, for a lot of us, less common, and we have lost those social connections. Not only sort of the pandemic and our response, but how did the criminals respond to that? So when the criminals saw how successful that the others were being, or different parts of their criminal operation were being in scamming Americans, they just put more resources into it. So there are more scammers out there since 2020 than there were in the past, and they're stealing, you know, more than double of what was being stolen in, say, 2019. So that isolation has stayed with us after the pandemic. Part of what I say is the reason, other than the ageism and the disrespect of older people in our society, is just the availability. So if you really are retired and aren't driving around the community every day or being in meetings with your coworkers, people are just more available. And I saw it for myself when I was working from home much more often. I would see more scams because I had more time to answer my phone when it rang. I'd get to the bottom of my email box most days and I would see all the scams that otherwise I was ignoring. And so I think that's part of the myth with older people is that it's just that people are available to see the scams compared to someone who's working and cruising around like me. Anonymous technology, before that pandemic, I probably had been in a few video conference meetings, but it wasn't an everyday occurrence the way it is now. I'm not saying that using Zoom or another video conferencing type of software is dangerous in itself, but it is a tool that the scammers use. So in some of the scams we heard from the previous speakers, like that refund scam, when you look in your email, it says you bought a laptop computer, it's been shipped to Texas, and you're thinking, I didn't buy this thing and I need to get my money back. When victims call that phone number at the bottom of the email, the fake customer service rep that they're talking to will say, well, I'm going to send you a link to join this Zoom meeting, and then I want you to share your screen and I want you to type in your password to your bank account. Well, they're doing that over a video conferencing software and obviously watching their victim type in the password so they can access the bank account. 5-6 years ago, they wouldn't have such luck with that because fewer people knew how to use Zoom. They didn't have the software loaded on their computer. They weren't familiar with it. Now that we're all more familiar with that technology, then the scammers, there's a bigger pool of fish for the scammers to target. And we talked some about the alternative payment methods, which really plays in the favor of the scammers. Their number one job is not to steal your money, if you can imagine it that way. Their number one job is to not get caught. Like, even if they don't get your money, they don't want to get caught, so they need to stay anonymous. Hopefully it's a short story, but I was listening to a presentation from some state-level law enforcement agents who were tracking mail theft, criminals going around stealing personal checks out of mailboxes. And they wash the checks so they could write them out to cash. And they would write them to cash and cash them in their own bank account. So those criminals got caught. But that's a bad way to go about being a criminal, is cashing stuff in your own bank account because you're going to get caught. Instead, what the scammers need to do is get you to put your money into cryptocurrency. They need you to pay them with a wire transfer where you don't have the same consumer protections as you would with a debit card or a credit card or a personal check payment or an automatic bill pay type ACH transaction. They want to be paid with gift cards. So those are the type of payments that allow the criminals to not get caught because it's either impossible or very difficult to trace them, and there aren't regulations in our country that say it's anyone's problem but the scam victim when that happens. So that is what I described as sort of the external environment that makes us all vulnerable, more vulnerable today, regardless of your age, to fraud than we used to be. And this is the internal environment. So there are very few people in the whole wide world who are studying vulnerability to fraud. And we're just sort of starting to to view financial crime as a criminal issue versus just a family issue or a personal issue that is affecting people. So that's part of why we don't have a lot of research about what makes people vulnerable. But there's a professor at the University of Minnesota named Marty DeLima, and she's in the School of Gerontology, I believe. I shouldn't even have gone down that path, but she's a really fantastic researcher, and she interviews scam victims to find out about their attitudes and their mental frames or their worldviews, how they approach the world, and what might make them a victim of a scam while others are not. And I'll start with the order frame at the bottom of the list here because there was an example of it just the other day. I had done another seminar in Southwest Minnesota, and someone felt compelled to email me and say they enjoyed the presentation, but she was very irritated that the people at her table were chit-chatting and making noise and she couldn't hear everything. And she said, well, too bad for them because they weren't listening and now they're going to get scammed. And unfortunately for me, I didn't say anything, but that's exactly the kind of attitude that makes someone more vulnerable to fraud, is because you think that bad people who don't follow the rules are going to get it, and good people aren't going to get scammed or aren't going to have bad things happen to them. It's just not the way of the world, and when people view the world as good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people, it makes them more vulnerable. The authority frame is really about, there are some people, if the police knock on the door, they are going to answer, they're going to do everything they're told. Or, if your boss says do one thing, you're not going to question it. And other people are going to be more questioning of authority. The scammers use that. They know that some people, if they call up and say, I'm the Woodbury Police Department and you have a parking ticket and you haven't paid it and you're going to be in big trouble if you don't listen up. Some people just follow those instructions. Other people would question it, like John suggested, is like, wait a minute, how do we know this is really what's happening? So that is something internally that makes people vulnerable. Now up there it says intelligence as a frame, and this doesn't mean that if you have a high IQ or not, but there are some people who say when they have a question in a presentation like this, they don't want to raise their hand because they wouldn't want everyone to know that they don't already know the answer. They want to be perceived as though they know things and they know the answers. And in fact, John was talking about investment fraud, and we did some research at AARP about investment fraud victims, and you might think it would be someone who's never invested before and doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't have any experience in making investments in an online website, but it's not true. The average, based on the demographics, the average investment fraud victim is a man between the ages of 50 and 60 who already has day trading accounts and is already managing their own money. They're overconfident, like John described, and they think they're not going to make a mistake, but that's exactly who the scammers are targeting, is those kind of people who are autonomously making financial decisions without getting any help from someone. And that's the perfect victim that the scammer is looking for. Finally, just the opportunity frame is some people have a view that the only way to get ahead in life is to get lucky, and you have to look for those good opportunities, and if you're not paying attention, they're going to pass you by. And people who, like our event that I was just talking about was at Jackpot Junction Casino, and there are plenty of people pulling those slot machine levers and pressing the buttons, thinking that their day was going to come, but I bet you that most of them left with a lot less money than they showed up with. So, vulnerability both in the external environment and how people view things internally, what makes you vulnerable. And now that you know a little bit more about that, whether you can recognize it for yourself, or you recognize it with a friend that you have coffee with, or with your grown children, or whoever it may be in your life, it's a way to start a conversation about their financial decisions and your own financial decisions. But now what are the criminals doing? They're socially engineering their victims. So I can't tell you how many people I meet, and the first thing they want to tell me about is how their computer got hacked. And I don't always correct them, but in 99% of cases, in fact, this comes from the Social Security Administration, over 90% of people who have their Social Security account accessed, their computer wasn't hacked. It's a waste of time for criminals to try to break through your personal computer's firewall and your network's firewall and your security on your devices. Instead, all they have to do is send out emails and text messages to people, and they will hand over their login credentials and give people access, give the criminals access to what they need. But the criminals aren't just after your money. This whole industry is designed to, access money from somewhere, but it's not only your money that they're after. If you put it in the shoebox and send it to them or give them your credit union account login information, they'll take it, but they also want to steal your identity, your personal information. They want access to your devices, which would be like screen sharing through a video conferencing app, or it would be by installing malware, virus on your device that monitors your keystrokes, like John said. But they also want access to your accounts. This would be like the person on Facebook who wants to be your friend, and maybe they are your friend. Have you ever got an email from someone you know and they tell you that they're stuck in Europe and they were in an accident and their cell phone got stolen and now they need some money to pay the hotel so they can get home? Someone has taken over your friend's email account by social engineering a reason that they need to hand over their password and login information. Now, I know Detective Lawrence is familiar with money mules. Criminals are recruiting people here in Minnesota to actually participate in their crimes. One of the fastest growing types of scams are job employment scams. And some people apply for a job that they find online that's being advertised, and it turns out that their job is to process payments through their bank account. It's happened here in Woodbury, happened in Pine City, where a woman in her 60s thought she was working from home, and her job was to process these payments. Well, it was other scam victims who were being instructed to send her the money, and then she would send it on to the next place, making it extremely difficult to trace and keeping those criminals anonymous so they don't get caught. And then some scams are designed to get people to click on social media and sort of boost the algorithm of misinformation and to steal people's information. So I've hinted at this a little bit throughout that, we all work together. It's important that all of us just take this seriously, but I think in Minnesota and elsewhere, people don't talk about financial decisions very easily within their families. I attribute it to our independence as Americans, that we're not going to let anyone tell us what to do with our money, and we're the ones who are going to be free to make our choices. But it's also our humility. You don't want to be seen talking about with your family or your friends about whether you're going to buy a new Cadillac or a sports car or a souped up truck or anything like that. So independence and humility. But when that's where the scammers want us to be, is isolated and making financial decisions all on our own. So instead, I just encourage everyone to find a way to talk about money within your families and with your friends and the people you trust, and we'll all be better protected. Now, I wanted to end with a little discussion about artificial intelligence. And I was very much skeptical about how artificial intelligence would play into scams at first. And the reason for that is because I met so many people who were victimized in grandparent scams, where they got a call on the phone and it sounded like their grandchild was in distress and needed to be bailed out of jail or was being held hostage by some criminals. And the first thing they wanted to tell me is, I knew it was my grandchild's voice. I heard him on the phone and I believed it right away. And that just couldn't be, because the technology didn't exist to imitate the voice. But the shock of someone hearing that phone call tricked their brain into thinking it was really the voice that they were hearing. So I thought, why would criminals waste their time imitating everyone when they don't need to? But now just what I see with the voice demonstrations is that it's so easy to do. There's no reason that a criminal wouldn't do it. It's through the software like the Civic AI Project, which if you'd like to type into your phone, it's a nonprofit organization that AARP works with. They're not collecting any information from you, but you can do a demonstration of how a deep fake can be created just using your face right now. I did it when I was sitting down here earlier, so I know it's working today. Deepfake.civai.org, and it will automatically take a picture of your face and put you in different compromising positions just to see. One of them would be showing you in a prison suit sitting behind bars. So if someone called my mom and told her, we have your son here at the county jail and you need to come and bail him out, or you need to send me money to bail him out, she would say, I don't believe you, and then they could just send her a picture of me sitting in the jail wearing a jumpsuit. So the technology, my point is, it just exists and it's so readily available. I was doing a discussion the other day with some volunteers, and I was saying how, like, if you were using ChatGPT or some of the other Microsoft Copilot or the well-known big AI programs, they are programmed so that they won't help you do criminal activity. And I use the example of, you can't tell it to give you the recipe for making methamphetamine. And then one of our volunteers, who's an IT guy, he pulled up his screen and he has his own proprietary sort of unlocked AI tool, and he typed in what's the recipe for meth, and it just showed us all how to make it, just like that. So, you know, what I do think, I mean, those deep fakes and voices are something we all need to be concerned about. But really what is happening is the emails and texts that we see are being automated. So you used to look at some of these spam emails and you could tell the person doesn't speak English, the formatting's all screwed up, they have the wrong logos. Now the scammers just tell AI to make an American Best Buy email that says you need to, you know, get a refund, or you need to enter your password, or they could impersonate your credit union or whatever it is. And we just don't see so many obviously fake emails anymore. It's hard to discern what's a scam from what's not. That's what I think the most powerful thing is. So, with that, thanks for your time and attention. I appreciate it. And we're going to Brad, and here's Tyler again.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Jay. Just one housekeeping item quick. We have not been doing Q&A during these presentations, just in the interest of time, making sure anybody that wants to can still go take advantage of the trucks outside or the tables outside in the hallway. But absolutely, please feel free. Talk to our presenters afterwards. They'll happily take your questions. They'll also be out in the table area as well. Feel free to ask any questions you have out there at the tables. With that, we'll get to our final presenter today. And he brings vast experience, both as an Army veteran and with a very long 20-plus year career with the FBI, to his current work in the credit union space, where he's trying to help members prevent fraud. So without further ado, here's Brad Lynch from Wings Financial.
Okay, so you're right in my center spot here, and I've been watching you. You're married, right? Are you guys married? Okay, how long? $36. Okay. All right. And your first name, just your first name? Okay. And? Robbie and Jerry. Okay. So once upon a time, Jerry laid eyes on Robbie, fell in love. And at one point, he went for her hand. He held her hand, right? Kind of felt good. He's going down. Time goes by, decides to sneak a kiss. They develop a relationship. They get married. They put a life together. Jen put it perfectly. We're made for relationships. We're made for connection. And that is kind of the cornerstone of where we're at. Okay, so what they decided to do was put a life together. They share their money together. They do those things together. So, going back, going too fast. Here we go. We're going to keep that as our cornerstone here, all right? There is a threat landscape here coming up. Basically means stuff's coming up, and the other speakers before me went over sort of all the scams. I'm gonna give you some real life examples. So I said once upon a time. Most of the time fairy tales start with once upon a time. Army stories start with, man, this ain't no BS. Well, man, this ain't no BS. I've got a neighbor who got a call. She actually called me over one day and said, hey, I think somebody took over my computer. Can you help me? So I said, sure. So I went over there and we sat down. She told me the story. She had gotten a call the day before from her bank. I'm not going to tell you which bank. But the bank that she banked at, this guy had spoofed the number. And in simple terms, that means he made it look like her bank was calling. Okay? So when you pull out your phone, and this is part of the problem, right? This is where some of this starts, and we'll get into that in a second. But when they call your phone, they can make it look like your bank, your credit union, or whoever it is calling. So he tells her, were you on the phone this morning at 4:30 trying to wire $72,000 to Hong Kong? She says, no, I was not up at 4:30 this morning, and I did not try and wire $72,000 to Hong Kong. So he tells her, there's been a breach. Everybody in the bank is under investigation, so don't talk to anybody. So that's called gaslighting. Gaslighting in simple terms means they're trying to isolate you and keep you from the truth. Because the scammer knows that if you go and talk and actually have a real conversation with a person at the bank or credit union, then they're going to find out what's going on. So, long story short, he says, hey, we'd really like to catch this person because it's a problem for us. Could you wire the $72,000 to Hong Kong? Because then we'll be able to catch that person. But I don't want to wire $72,000 to Hong Kong. All right? But he says, no, listen, it's not going to go. We're going to prevent it from going, but you'll help us catch this person. You see where this is going? Okay? The $72,000 really is going to go. And so what she does, she goes to the bank, and she has her phone with her, and she has the phone in the purse on live so that the fraudster can hear what's going on. Long story short, she wires the $72,000, and I'll tell you that I instruct our folks at the credit in the front line to ask questions. I'll tell you up front, it's embarrassing for this bank, so I'm not going to tell you who it is. But this bank had no questions. This bank didn't say, do you know anybody in Hong Kong? Are you buying something in Hong Kong? $72,000 is an awful lot of money. Questions like that. So they didn't ask that. So off and away, $72,000. She comes to me, and the next thing you know, we're sitting down at a computer. Now, I have it in here somewhere, but I'm just going to tell you up front. There's a website called IC3, the number 3, .gov, G-O-V. Okay, when I was in the FBI, I would hand that website out. Here, you can put this in if you ever have a problem with a report. And there's this thing called a financial fraud kill chain. Okay? So if you go to IC3.gov and you've lost this money, you've wired this money, and you've realized this within 48 hours, and you do the report, which is I sat down with her, I helped her put in the report, and then I said, here's what you're going to do next. You're going to call the police. Local police need to know about this. Put in a report. Step number 2, you're going to call the FBI, the local FBI office, and you're going to marry them up with that report, because when you put a report into IC3.gov, I wired $72,000 to Hong Kong to this routing number, to this account number, here was the point of contact, you put in all the information you can, then they're going to spit out a report number to you. You tell the FBI what that report number is. I'm sure you're all familiar with the phrase, squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? That's what you're doing. Okay? You're making some friction here. So then she did that. And I said, third thing, you're going to be at your bank Monday morning with bells on, and you're going to talk to the people in the bank. So she did. And they told her, well, we're sorry, that money's gone. There's nothing we can do for you. Sorry we didn't ask the questions we should have. Now, thank God. Thursday, she called me, that money was back in the account. So, it can be a fail-safe. I hope you never have to count on that, but that is a certain thing you can do. IC3.gov. That's a real life deal. So here's what I want you to do. We talked a little bit about this before. Okay, if you get a call like this, because nobody wakes up and says, you know, I'd really like to feed $10,000 cash into the Bitcoin machine. Or I'd really like to wire $72,000 to Hong Kong. Nobody wants to do that. But the reason that happens is because some fraudster called you and targeted you and talked you into a lie. Okay? That's what's going on. So I want you to stop and think. I want you to verify independently. That means you go to a trusted friend. Okay? If Jerry gets his call, he'd say, Bobby, come here. And they talk about this. But maybe you have somebody else in your life, whether it's your spouse, a friend, a trusted relative, a trusted neighbor. Okay? That's verifying independently. Does this sound right to you? That's what you want to do. Talk to someone. That's all part of that. Passwords. Obviously, we live in a world where, anybody else have this, where one website wants a password with a hashtag sign or a dollar sign, and the other ones don't want any, but they want 27 characters in the thing. That's the world we're living in, unfortunately. There are ways to keep track of those, but you want to make your password strong. Okay? Don't use your name or your dog's name. Okay? Make it creative for you. All right? Public Wi-Fi caution. If you're at Starbucks or McDonald's or some other place, they're smart. They offer their customers free Wi-Fi. But the problem is so my universal name for fraudster is Peanut Wiggins. Don't ask me how I came up with that name. It's just, so if you hear me talking about Peanut, I'm talking about a fraudster. So Peanut is sitting nearby as well. And he's watching the Wi-Fi traffic. Okay? So the only place I would really do banking transactions is when you're home or you're on your phone on your own network that's protected. Okay? Document security, that just means don't leave anything out that has username and passwords on it, account information. You don't want that stuff to get away. You want to look at your statement regularly. Okay? Unfortunately, thank you. Unfortunately, we have scammers who will get your credit card, debit card, and then they go to town. They quickly ring up the charges because they're trying to do it as fast as they can. Okay? And they're hoping that maybe you're well off enough that you're not going to pay attention. Or maybe you're not that well off enough, but you still don't pay attention. Okay, there are certain regulations that are in there. But basically, the quicker you catch it, the quicker we can replenish that. Okay? You don't want time to go by. You don't want 3 months to go by, and then you notice, wait a minute, I didn't buy $500 worth of gift cards from Larry's Liver House, right? Something's up. So look at your statements. Annual credit report, transaction alerts. You can put in a transaction alert with most of the credit unions or banks that are out there. So if anything goes over a certain dollar threshold, say, hey, send me a text so I know, so it goes straight to your phone. Annual credit reports, you can go there because unfortunately in today's world of identity theft, Peanut is going to steal Jerry's identity. And he's going to go get a car loan in Jerry's name because Jerry has really good credit. Peanut has terrible credit. But he knows if he can go pose as Jerry at an auto shop or some dealership, then he can get a loan, get that car, and he's off and away with the money. So check your credit report. You can check it once a year for free. There's also a thing you can do. You can freeze your credit. Okay, there's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. I think that's on another slide coming up. But they can freeze your credit. So if Peanut tries to act like Jerry, he won't get that. Because there's going to be a freeze on his account. Yep, think before you click. And whether you're on your laptop or on your phone, right, everything starts here. So I'll tell you a couple things while I'm thinking about it. One, everybody's Minnesota nice, right? Everybody's polite and courteous on the phone. I don't know if you grew up like me, but when the phone was ringing, my brothers and I would run for that phone. We were convinced it was for us. Somebody wanted to talk to me. And of course, it wasn't always that way. But my point is, once we're on the phone, and I can't remember, I think Jay brought it up, but just the whole idea that, you know, some people think they have to be polite and do all the things that the other person's telling them to do. You don't, okay? Here's my number one tip that I give to our folks, and I give to you now for free, is if somebody calls you and they're saying, for the Wings Credit Union, or whatever your credit union or financial institution is, so if they call you, your Wings member, and they say, hey, we're from Wings, we notice there's a problem with your account, whatever the deal is, it's okay. I give you permission to say, did you say your name was Bill? I tell you what, Bill, I'm going to call you right back, because I'm kind of in the middle of something right now, and I'm going to call you back on the number I know. Thank you. That's it. That cuts them off at the knees, because they can't get you gaslit. They can't get you isolated. That means you now have the opportunity to call your financial institution, or Wings, and say, hey, I just got this call, and you get a chance to tell your story, and then you get to find out what a great job we're doing at protecting your money. Which reminds me of something else. You're going to get down to charity verification that we'll talk about. So think before you click. If you see a link on your phone and somebody sends you something, thank you. You don't have to click that thing. In fact, I would submit to you, unless you know or were expecting something with a link from a friend, trusted relative, wife, lover, whatever, you don't have to click on that. Don't get too curious. Social media awareness, I think it talks about how these beautiful people develop a relationship in person. You don't develop a relationship online and then start giving money away to somebody you've never met face to face. Charity verification. We're all Minnesota nice. We like to help people out, but you want to make sure that your money's going to the right site and the right people. If you've purposed in your heart to give to a ministry, to a charity, to some other organization that you know helps people, then it's perfectly okay for you to go to that site and make sure that that's where your money's going. Already talked about credit freeze. I'm looking for IC3.gov because I already talked about that. Additional account security, so at least with us, if you have an account and maybe you were a victim of it before, or you're just concerned and you want to put extra security on there, you can call us and say, hey, I want to put a security code on my account. So you come up with a phrase, but then whenever you call in, you need to come up with that phrase. And you don't tell that to anybody else. Okay? And there's a correction, is something I heard earlier, but if you are calling your trusted financial institution, Okay, you're calling Wings, you're calling Royal, you're calling Affinity, whoever it is, they're going to ask you for a one-time PIN. They're going to send it to you. And in that case, you give them the code because you called the credit union. The credit union didn't call you. I hope that makes sense. Yep. Contact financial institution. I hope you have your credit union's number in your phone saved, because that's the way it goes. Okay? These are some other apps that people are using. I've received a fraudster message on each one of these, on every single one of these apps, and my text message on my phone. Hi, is this Brad? And then there's a picture of a woman who's about 20 and wouldn't be interested in me because I'm old and ugly now. Okay? But my point is that be investigative, be curious. There's no reason somebody's going to call you on any of these and on your phone and you don't know them. Okay? Relationships are holding hands and sharing kisses. Okay? What else we got? Okay. So we'll handle this in a second. One of the big things we're seeing right now is we have members walking into the credit union and saying, I need $10,000 in cash. I need $20,000 in cash. I need $30,000 in cash. There's no reason for you to be carrying around $10,000 in cash. Somebody is coaching that person, a scammer. Peanut told that person that there's been a breach and that their money's not safe and they need to put it in Bitcoin. No, your money is safe. Okay, credit unions, banks, financial institutions spend a lot of money on people and systems to protect your money. If, in the unlikely event that Peanut was able to break into the bank system and suck money out, we're obligated to refill that money. But if you go into the bank with a credit union and you take out $10,000 in cash, and we say, well, why do you need $10,000 in cash? And you say, well, that's none of your business. We're not trying to get up in your business. We're trying to protect your money and protect you from making a foolish transaction. That's why we ask the questions. Okay? Nothing more to that. If scammed, if this does happen, and you do end up pouring money into a Bitcoin machine because you were convinced that your money was unsafe, or your grandson was in danger, or you didn't show up for jury duty and the judge is mad at you and now you have to pay money so you can show up in the courthouse in person. All scams. Stop contact. Stop talking with the scammer. Okay? You want to call the police. And this has been said before. A lot of people end up feeling dumb. You know, like, I can't believe this happened to me, and I can't say this, because then either they're going to put me in a home, or they're going to give me a hard time about it, or, you know, you fill in the blank. Peanut is a bad guy. You're not the bad guy, you're a victim. And that's okay to say that. But there's a difference between being a victim and being victimized. You're a victim once, now you move on, and you make good decisions. You want to secure your accounts, change your passwords, call your credit union, okay? Gather evidence. I tell my people, if you've been in touch with, for example, a Bitcoin artist, somebody who clicked on a link, we might ask you for a screenshot of that message that you got that shows the link, or if they showed you some fake picture of, you know, the gazillions of dollars that you're making now because you invested in Bitcoin through their special thing, thank you. So warn others, re-victimization, you want to make good decisions, keep going. Stay vigilant, strong passwords, recognize common scams, we've talked about that, okay? Thank you. I'm going to hand this over to Tyler, but I appreciate your time, I appreciate your interest, and I hope you appreciate our passion for this to help you protect your money. Thank you.
There we go. Thanks again to our wonderful speakers. That was some fantastic information they shared with us all. Thanks as well to our sponsors again. And then I just want to take a moment to do one more shout out to our local credit union community. First of all, the Minnesota Credit Union Network. Their support, financial and otherwise, for events like this helps make them possible. That's truly appreciated. At Novation Financial, one of our team members, Derek Schmidt, he's up there in the control room right now, if you want to give a wave, Derek. He has done a tremendous amount of work to take this from an idea to an actual event that was happening today. That's on top of his daily work, helping out our members who need help, combating fraudulent activity and things like that. So, extra shout out to him. And then credit unions in general. I've been in the credit union space for a little under 2 years, and it truly is a very different and amazing space to be in and to work in. When this idea first came up, it was something we could do to expand the scale of our efforts to educate the community and our membership about fraud. 7 other credit unions signed up just like that. Let's do this. I think they're very dedicated across the board to their membership and the communities at large to do events like this. So shout out to all of them as well. And then finally, outside at the tables, feel free, stop by, ask questions, use the trucks if you haven't yet. And then as well, thank those that are out there. That's another part of that shout out to the credit union community. Is not only all the planning and everything that went into today, but we've got, from the 8 credit unions involved, we have over 30 volunteers that are here today to make this happen. If you saw how hard it was raining around 7:30 and 8 a.m., there were some of them setting up tents out there at that time, so great dedication from all of them. And finally, my last remark will be just thank you, great appreciation to all of you that showed up for this. I think we've seen financial fraud is a topic that is worthy of our attention, and it requires all of us to really buy in to paying attention, not only to protect ourselves, but to protect those that are close to us. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.